Death is not the end. How the Bhagavad Gita explains life after death. Death is one of life's greatest mysteries. It is a reality each of us must face, and yet it remains shrouded in uncertainty. Is death really the end, or is it a doorway to something far greater? In this video, we look to the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita to uncover profound insights about life, death, and the eternal journey of the soul. Through its teachings, we find solace, strength, and a renewed sense of purpose to navigate the profound questions of mortality. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most revered spiritual texts in the world, is not simply a scripture. It is a timeless conversation between Lord Krishna and the warrior Arjuna, filled with insights into the human experience. Set in the midst of the epic battle of Kurukshetra, the Gita provides spiritual wisdom that transcends time and culture. It does not merely address material concerns, but delves into existential questions that every human being confronts, chief among them being the nature of life and death. One of the central teachings of the Gita is the distinction between the body and the soul. Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna that the soul, or Atman, is eternal, indestructible, and beyond the limitations of space or time. While the body is impermanent, much like a set of clothes we wear and eventually cast off, the soul continues its journey, untouched and unchanging. Krishna eloquently states in chapter 2 of the Gita, "Just as a person puts on new garments after discarding old ones, so too does the soul accept new bodies after casting away the old and worn-out ones." In this metaphor, death is not an end, but a change of circumstances, a shedding of the physical form, so that the soul can continue its evolution. This teaching reminds us that we are not defined by our physical identity or worldly possessions. They are temporary. The essence of who we are, the soul, is eternal. If death is not the end, then what is it? According to the Bhagavad Gita, death is but a transition, a passage from one stage of existence to another. Much like moving from one room to another in a home, the soul moves through different states of being, gaining experiences and continuing its journey. This perspective shifts how we view death. Instead of seeing it as a cessation of existence, we can understand it as part of the natural and spiritual order of life. Death becomes the conclusion of one chapter and the beginning of another. It is not something to be feared, but embraced as a stepping stone in the greater journey of the soul. At the heart of this view is the concept of reincarnation, or samsara. The Gita teaches that the soul moves through countless lifetimes, learning, growing, and evolving as it seeks to align with its true nature. Each incarnation is shaped by the soul's past actions and choices, an intricate web of karma that determines the circumstances of future lives. This belief provides both comfort and responsibility. It reminds us that our actions in this life matter, not just in the immediate sense, but in the larger spiritual journey of our soul. The law of karma ensures that life is fair, though not always in ways we immediately perceive. Every action, thought, and intention shapes the destiny of the soul across lifetimes. If death is not the end and life is part of an eternal cycle, then what is our purpose in this existence? The Bhagavad Gita teaches that every individual is meant to fulfill their dharma, or spiritual and moral duty, in alignment with the higher laws of the universe. By fulfilling our dharma, we contribute to the harmony and balance of existence while also progressing spiritually. Krishna emphasizes that one should perform their duties selflessly, without attachment to the outcomes. This attitude, known as karma yoga, allows us to live a purposeful and fulfilling life while remaining detached from the fruits of our labor. In this way, life becomes a profound spiritual practice, a preparation for the soul's continued journey beyond death. One of the most transformative teachings of the Gita is its message of courage in the face of mortality. Krishna reassures Arjuna that there is no reason to fear death, as it is simply a transition for the soul. This perspective dissolves fear and anxiety around the unknown. Krishna's teachings empower us to face the inevitability of death with grace and understanding. When we deeply realize that the soul is eternal and indestructible, our fear of the unknown fades. Instead of dreading death, we can focus on living fully and meaningfully, anchoring ourselves in the eternal truths of our spiritual nature. One of the most difficult aspects of death is the grief it brings. Losing loved ones can feel like an irreparable loss. However, the Bhagavad Gita offers a perspective that soothes the heart. Krishna reminds Arjuna that the true essence of a loved one is never lost. The soul, untouched by death, continues its journey. This teaching encourages us to dwell not on absence, but on the eternal connection we share with those we love. When we understand that death is only a temporary separation, we can find peace amid sadness and honor the memory of our loved ones by living in alignment with our highest self. The ultimate aim of life, according to the Gita, is not merely to cycle endlessly through birth and death, but to attain moksha, liberation from the cycle of reincarnation. Moksha is the state of unity with the divine, where the soul transcends all limitations and realizes its true infinite nature. This liberation comes not from accumulating material wealth or achievements, but from self-realization. By studying scriptures, practicing meditation, and living a life of service and detachment, we create the conditions for our soul to awaken to its divine essence. The Gita calls us to rise above worldly distractions and dedicate ourselves to spiritual growth, so we may one day transcend the cycle of birth and death altogether. While the Bhagavad Gita provides profound philosophical insights, it is also deeply practical. Its teachings are not just for pondering, but for living. Here are some ways we can integrate these lessons into our daily lives. Live with purpose. Reflect on your dharma and consciously align your actions with your higher calling. Embrace detachment. Practice letting go of attachment to results and outcomes, focusing instead on giving your best effort. Cultivate resilience. Trust in the soul's eternal nature to overcome fear, grief, and uncertainty. Foster spiritual awareness. Meditate, reflect, and seek connection with the divine to gain clarity about life's deeper purpose. By embodying these teachings, we align ourselves with the eternal truths of the universe and live a life of greater fulfillment, peace, and spiritual growth. In today's fast-paced and materialistic world, the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita is more relevant than ever. We are often caught up in the rush to accumulate wealth, success, and possessions, forgetting the eternal nature of the soul. The Gita calls us to pause and reflect. What truly matters? What legacy are we leaving behind for ourselves and the world? Its teachings remind us to prioritize what is timeless over what is fleeting. By grounding ourselves in the eternal truths of the soul, we can transcend the anxieties and distractions of the modern world and live with greater peace and authenticity. This spiritual perspective nurtures not only our individual well-being, but also the collective harmony of humanity. As we come to the end of this reflection, what does the Bhagavad Gita ultimately teach us about death? Death, Krishna reminds us, is not the end. It is a doorway, a natural transition in the vast, infinite journey of the soul. It calls us not to cling to fear or grief, but to embrace life with courage, purpose, and faith. The teachings of the Gita encourage us to live meaningfully, rooted in the understanding of our true self, the Atman. Death, when seen through this lens, is not a loss but a reminder of the infinite possibilities that exist within and beyond this life. As you reflect on these teachings, I invite you to see death not as an end, but as a beginning, and more importantly, to live each moment with the knowledge of your eternal nature. Life and death are but cycles in the journey of the soul, and we are here to awaken to our divinity, guided by the sacred wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita.